My name is Rebecca, and I've spent most of my life trying to convince myself that what happened back in high school was just coincidence, just teenage drama layered over a bad memory. But in February, when the paper hearts and rose bouquets are out, I remember Valentine's Day, 1997. And I remember Vicky. Scott and I had broken up a week before. I'd caught him behind the gym, his hands on her waist, her mouth on his. The new girl, Vicky. She'd transferred in mid-semester. No explanation, no records anyone could find. She walked around like she already owned the place, too confident, too polished for a public school in a small town. Before I caught them together, Vicky had already started talking to me in these strange, half-friendly ways. She'd slide into conversations like she was doing me a favor. "You're really brave wearing your hair like that," she told me once in the bathroom. "Most girls wouldn't." Another time in the hallway, she smiled at me and said, "Scott has such simple tastes. He's very nostalgic." I laughed them off back then. I thought she was just socially awkward or trying to be nice in a weird way. But she always said things like she knew how everything would end before it happened. Valentine's Day was torture. The hallways were plastered with pink and red hearts, streamers drooping from lockers, balloons tied to handrails. The kind of decorations that felt louder when you were alone. I stood at my locker pretending to organize notebooks I didn't need, watching couples walk by, hand-holding, laughing, exchanging stuffed bears and carnations. Then I saw Scott and Vicky. They walked past like I wasn't there. Scott's hand was in hers, his head tilted toward her, smiling in that soft way he used to smile at me. I made it to the bathroom before I started crying. Nothing felt strange until later that day. My English class was on the second floor, overlooking the baseball field. I sat by the window because I liked watching the trees at the edge of campus. Around late morning, I saw Scott and Vicky again. They were walking across the field, still holding hands. That alone wasn't weird, but they were heading toward the woods. Scott never skipped class. He lived for football. Missing practice was like social suicide. Vicky stopped at the tree line and looked back, scanning the building like she was checking for someone. Then she took Scott's hand and pulled him into the trees. I told myself it wasn't my business, we weren't together anymore, but something about it gnawed at me. At the end of the day, I was at my locker when James walked up. He was one of Scott's closest friends. "Hey, you seen Scott?" he asked. I shook my head. "Not since this morning. Coach is pissed. He never showed for practice. Nobody's heard from him." I hesitated, then said, "I saw him go into the woods with Vicky during English." James frowned. "That's weird." He walked off, but I couldn't stop thinking about it. I told myself I was being dramatic, but the image of Vicky glancing back at the school, then disappearing into the trees, kept replaying in my head. I crossed the field slowly. The closer I got, the quieter everything became. No birds, no bugs, just the faint creak of trees swaying. I stepped past the tree line. The light dropped immediately like I'd walked into a tunnel. The trees were close together, blocking out most of the sky. The ground was soft and damp, my shoes sinking into old leaves. I called out Scott's name. No answer. I walked deeper, following the direction I'd seen them go. The school disappeared behind the trees. The air felt colder in there. Then I saw something. Scott's varsity jacket. It was draped over a low branch like someone had taken it off and forgotten it. The maroon and white fabric was already darkening with moisture, the letter on the back smeared with mud. My stomach twisted. I called out for Scott again. Nothing. I picked up the jacket. It was heavier than it should have been, damp and cold. That's when the rain started. Not a drizzle, not a warning. Just sudden, hard drops slamming into the leaves above me. The forest exploded with noise, leaves rattling, branches snapping, the ground turning slick under my feet. I held the jacket over my head, trying to keep the rain from soaking me. Then I heard it, a soft, deliberate rustle in the undergrowth, coming from the edge of the clearing. I froze. My heart was in my throat. I turned toward the sound, and there she was. Vicky, or what had once been Vicky. Her skin shimmered in the rain, pale and sickly in the dull light, wet strands of hair clinging to her face. Her eyes, they weren't the same. They were larger, darker, impossible, like black pearls reflecting the rain. Her lips curved into a smile, too wide, too sharp. Her fingers were long, curved unnaturally. The rain fell harder, but I couldn't look away. I called out her name, my voice cracking. "Vicky?" For a long moment, she just stared. Her gaze, it didn't look human. Then she began to step toward me, each movement slow and deliberate, unnervingly graceful. Panic finally broke over me. I dropped the jacket and ran, slipping in the mud, stumbling over roots, branches clawing at my arms and face. I didn't look back until I burst out of the tree line and onto the field. Only then did I slow, lungs burning, soaked through and shaking. I never went back into those woods. Weeks later, it was announced that Scott's parents had received a note, brief, in his own handwriting. "I can't stay. I need to figure things out. Don't look for me." To this day, nobody knows what really happened to Scott, and I never saw Vicky again. Even now, every February, I catch myself wondering what I saw in those woods and what Vicky might have done to Scott.